Today I'm going to teach you about the strike in Foxhole, the video game. Now, some of you may think I've misspoken, that it's supposed to be something more like a strike on the video game, but no, it's in, and boy do I have a story for you. Now, according to NME, gaming news website, the strike lasted for 49 days and then ended when the developers caved into their demands. Um, so in order for you to get a little bit of understanding about this, I'm gonna have a small background about what Foxhole the game is. Then I'm going to go over what LOGI looked like before the changes, the LOGI union, and then what it looks like after the changes. So to start out with, Foxhole is an endless war MMORPG. MMO is mass multiplayer online, and RPG is role-playing game where everybody in this game has something to do. The major thing about this game, though, is that all of the everything fired at the enemy and everything used to fix what's been fired at you is made by another player in game and transported by another player in game. So to start out with what it looked like before the changes, there's some basics about what logistics works look like. So to start out, you need to go to a scrap field and hit a whole bunch of different nodes for some time to just get all of the scrap and put this into your truck. You then take this over to a refinery where you turn it into some of the materials you'll need, such as BMATs and EMATs. They're just intermediary products or used directly. Then you can take those materials over to a factory and make any kind of weapon you want. Then, once you have those out of the factory, you need to take those to where the battle is or store them for other people to take to the battle. And this game is very much a do whatever you want kind of game. And with that, there's all sorts of things where there's people who like to drive the trucks and just go do that all the time. But then there's also those who just like to go to the front line. But the most important thing about this is logistics needs to happen. So there's an old saying, logistics wins wars. Well, this is very much the case here. And this sometimes causes people who get put into the LOGI position to feel like they have to do it, otherwise they're letting down their team. So that's what it looked like before the changes. So then the organization LOGI, LOGI is an acronym. It stands for Logistics Organization for General Improvement. They're a cross-faction organization, which is very unusual for Foxhole, where both sides are always bitter rivals to each other. The major thing that they did was on their website that they have set up, logiunion.com, they have made an open letter to the devs where they outlined all sorts of problems that they had in the game and what they recommended for fixing. They organized all of this across the community where they had multiple thousands of people in roundtable discussions that they narrowed down to these few items that they really wanted fixed. They set a deadline for when they wanted to be heard from they wanted some kind of response from the devs about, and when they were halfway to that, they conducted a survey of their members to see what they were going to do if nothing happened. Their letter didn't really say exactly what they were going to do. It just said that they would do something. And so with that, two things were decided on. They decided to do what is known as a strike and the anti-strike. And the strike wasn't just stopping playing the game. It was instead going to the front line and draining their own team's logistics, and ended up going off and fighting because it's perfectly fine for them to do that. Then the anti-strike was where they did partisan operations, where they went behind enemy lines and decided to blow up the enemy logistics, where they then caused other people of the enemy team to rage quit because of all the materials that were being lost when their vehicles were being destroyed. So that's the LOGI union and how they helped organize this. On to the post changes, what it looked like afterward. So immediately after the strike started, the devs started a new war for the game with some rather unusual starting conditions. It had a lot less materials in spots that were usable, and then it also had a lot less pre-given materials, where this then caused a lot of stuff where it's like it looked kind of like the devs were just like, if you're going to do this, well then I guess it's happening. Where people were being dominant with just their pistol, which you always get on starting and things like that. It caused a lot of strife inside each faction where people believed it was a psyop campaign from the other side because the other side was winning in their area, and they started yelling at their own teammates to go do LOGI. All sorts of strife. So with that, we then got to, once that war ended, a new update from Foxhole came out. Update 48, which in the change logs on the Siege Camp website, it didn't directly um, talk about the changes that were made, like if it was related to Logi and the strike, but it certainly fulfilled many of their requests. So that's what it looked like after the changes. So today I've talked to you about the Logi strike in Foxhole. I went over a little bit of what Foxhole is, the what it looked like before the changes, what the Logi Union is, and then how it looked after the changes. And just remember, if you ever have a problem with the video game, it can be changed with enough people and determination.